In this video, I'm reading a story called Kissy Face, and it takes you to a neighborhood of very prosperous people with nice big houses. And they have the kind of problems you might expect of people who live at such places. It also takes you into a different world that I get to explore. The main character tries out for a theater production. So I get to talk about what it's like to be in a theater production, which is fun. Now I'm going to talk just a little bit about what makes fiction work for a reader. And very simply, it makes you want to know what's going to happen next. A story, as opposed to just a piece of writing, a sketch, or a scene. A story is where something happens, something changes by the end. And we have what's called a point of view character. And almost all the stories in Hearts of Fire have one third person point of view character. You get inside their head and see what's going to change for them. So in Kissy Face, there's a lady who's dealing with a divorce and also with her sulky teenage daughter. She's trying to keep it together, figure out what the rest of her life is going to be like, something that happens to people all the time. I think by the end of the story, she's got an idea. All right, I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. She thought, I look like a woman whose husband has left her. She tried for her usual mirror expression. Eyebrows raised, corners of her mouth upturned in a kind of vapid pleasantness, ready to meet all comers with anxious good cheer. Dope. An irritating face. It deserved what it got. But if she forgot to make an effort, it was worse. The face sagged, the lines around her mouth turned heavy, and her eyes looked shocked, indignant, lost, a loser. Kiss, kiss, she told the mirror. Her daughter, Liv, was 14. She hated both of her parents. Not content with screwing up their own lives, they had now decided to ruin hers. She began to refer to them as Jack and Robin, as though she'd seen through all the mommy and daddy crap, and it was just another scam from people who had pretended that your happiness was the most important thing in the world. None of her mother's earnest, rehearsed, awful talks attempting to explain adult choices, adult realities, attempting to reassure and console made any difference. The girl was furious. Her father was an asshole for taking up with another woman, following his dick out the door, the child said. That's not language we use in this house. Pathetic. What's pathetic? Robin asked. Never mind. Liv aimed another cool, knowing glance at her mother and retreated upstairs. These days she communicated with an invisible listener who agreed with all her unsparing judgments. Of course she meant that her mother was pathetic for letting such a thing happen, and who was to say she was wrong? They would have to move. A judge would probably decide when. The big house, way too big even for the three of them. An expensive, prideful house meant to say something about her family that was no longer true. She wouldn't be able to afford it. She wouldn't be able to afford a lot of things. She hadn't worked in how long? Who would hire her now? Divorces might start off with lust and bad behavior, but they turned into dollars and cents. You saw it happen often enough. The husband moving into his girlfriend's apartment where presumably they had sex in every crummy room. The dowager wife downsized to a condo. I guess I can't go to college now, Liv said, determined to make the worst of things, and Robin told her not to be ridiculous. Of course she was going to college. But where, now that their income was to be divided and whittled down? Choices narrow. Assumptions would no longer be assumed. They would be dislodged from the life she had believed in ignorant folly was hers. Robin's friend Paula said, You know this town. People get all up in your business. She did know the town, or at least her part of it, with its big, well-groomed homes. Nice people lived here. They were all nice until proven otherwise. In summer, lawn service trucks descended to mow and clip and blow the grass cuttings away. In winter, the same trucks brought snowblowers. There were home improvements. There was competitive child rearing. There were football Saturdays, holiday parties, charity events. A prosperous, cheery gloss overlaid everything, and meanwhile, all the inconvenient and disorderly events swam like fish beneath the surface. Paula said, "Yeah, I mean, everybody here has a private life, and most of the time you just wonder about it. And then once in a while, boom, somebody gets arrested for drunk driving or beating up his wife, or somebody's kid gets kicked out of school, and it's so fascinating." I guess it's my turn to be fascinating now. "Too true," said Paula. She'd been divorced for years. She knew all the awful ropes. You'll find out who your friends are, and aren't. The ones who see you in the grocery and scuttle off to hide in the frozen foods. You're like a cautionary tale. Plus, they don't want you calling their husbands to come over and fix your broken doorknob or hot water heater. Come on. No, really, they're afraid you'll cry attractively on the husband's shoulder and then seduce him. It's happened. Since her divorce, Paula had grown her hair long and worn clothes that suggested gypsies or rock stars attempting to look like gypsies. She said she no longer felt the need to dress for other people, which was a good thing, Robin guessed, although she hoped she would not develop a similar urge herself. So now she would be a threat in addition to being a rejected and shop-worn spouse. She would represent contagion. Wives in still intact marriages would look at her and wonder if their husbands cruised websites promising convenient hookups. She didn't think she had done anything to deserve any of it, except perhaps not notice when Jack had turned away from her, had gone right on making conversation and making jokes and making everybody dinner like a perfect fool. Oh, God damn him. She hoped his frisky penis would wilt and droop and shrivel. She needed language that scalded and scorched, language that was not normally used in her house. Some witch's spell that could undo the damage or allow her to unlove her husband. But words accomplished nothing. "I'm moving out," Jack had said, and that was that, because he was only stating a fact, not using words in an attempt to deny, demand, plead, all the ways in which she had tried to cancel out what had already happened. No, she had not seen it coming. You were supposed to, but make that one more way in which she had been found lacking. His irritation and his silences he explained away as work, the problems and pressures of work. Did he want to talk about it? Did he not want to talk about it? Did he want to have sex? Did he want to have sex in some different way? Did he want to go on a riverboat cruise of Central European waterways? Did he want to grill hamburgers for dinner? He'd said he needed some time to himself. He needed, as men sometimes did, an expensive hobby requiring solitude. Other men among their set had gone in for landscape photography or learned to pilot private planes. For Jack, it was fly fishing in the rivers and streams of a northern state. There were soul-crushing burdens in the lives of modern men, compromises of the spirit that were eased only by the elemental simplicities and challenges of the natural world. She got it, or she tried to get it. Here were pictures of Jack holding up a string of fish, handsome in his canvas shirt and waders, pine forest and pure sky behind him. The guide had taken the pictures, he'd said, although now you had to wonder. The guide or somebody had made a delicious shore dinner, rainbow trout dipped in cornmeal and fried in bacon grease, potatoes cooked in the campfire ashes, the kind of thing you just couldn't get at home. Robin had suggested, mildly, that the family go there together sometime. He could teach Liv how to cast. But he said that the conditions were too rough. She didn't want to have to take a dump in the woods, did she? They had mosquitoes as big as hummingbirds up there. Was he an awful person? Had he always been one? She didn't want to think so. There must be a disease that stalked middle-aged men, in the same way that schizophrenia manifested itself in the brains of some 20-year-olds. Except it wasn't schizophrenia. They weren't exactly helpless to succumb. The disease was time and mortality closing in, and these men convincing themselves that the only, not cure exactly, but counterattack was kicking over the traces of their current existence. The family wreckage they left behind them was one of those hard choices that only demonstrated their implacable resolve, or some such garbage. She didn't want to spend any more time trying to figure him out. So she was a woman who couldn't hold on to her man, a figure of cartoon fun. Pathetic, sure. But Liv, his daughter, how did he give himself a pass on that? Paula said, "Of course she's angry and frightened. Her parents have problems that have nothing to do with her. Give her time." "How long do you think?" 4 years or 5. "Thanks," Robin said, so encouraging. She shifted the phone one ear to the other. Of course, her friends, she did have some actual friends, most of them single, were sympathetic, indignant, supportive. But she was wearing them out. Her troubles didn't change. There was only so much anyone could say. "What else did you find out about his fuckee?" "She's 8 years older than Liv." "Oh, ick. But really, when in the history of the world has a man ever run off with an older woman?" Jack's not original like that." "So when are you going to start fighting back?" "I already have a lawyer. I'm not talking about the divorce settlement, though you should definitely take his skin off piece by piece. I meant, when are you going to start living your own life, having some fun?" "What, dating? That sounds hellish." "It is," Paula agreed. "I'm not saying date, unless lightning strikes, you know? More like nights out with the girls. Get dressed up and go out for drinks or dinner or concerts." "I don't think so." "Why not? You might accidentally have a good time." "I'm not ready. I want to hide in a hole." The thought of the effort required to prepare a hopeful self for public scrutiny and then to simulate enjoyment exhausted her. She'd lost the will to please, to charm. She'd run out of charm coupons. She didn't care if anyone found her attractive ever again, which was lucky since she looked like a war refugee. "No hiding. You have to get back on the horse." "This is not about horses. You need a way forward, all I'm saying." No, she needed a way out. She needed revenge. She needed to rise above the need for revenge. She needed a job. She needed a new boyfriend, like she needed a hole in the head. She mistrusted everything and everyone she thought she'd known. Her husband, of course, who it seemed she had not known for some time, but also the people she might have expected to take her side or at least feel bad for her, but who would now find her inconvenient. Paula and some other friends dragged her out for a frivolous movie and drinks. Robin appreciated the gesture, but it felt too much like distracting someone from a cancer diagnosis. That was probably coming next. God, she was rancid with self-pity. She drank her margarita and tried to look worldly wise and pissed off instead of just dreary. "Day 1, life 2, her friends said, and she raised her glass to that. "You're only 35. 36, she corrected. "Oh, ancient, washed up." "You're so pretty. You'll turn some heads." "You guys," Robin murmured. The restaurant was across the street from the shopping mall. She was morbidly afraid of Jack and his girlfriend walking in, carrying a big Victoria's Secret shopping bag. When she got home, Liv said, "Jack called." You had to try not to react to the first name use. You had to pick your fights. What did he want?" "He wants to know when the house is going on the market." Liv was painting her toenails green, a distressing shade reminiscent of algae. It was one more fight it was better not to have. Her daughter was focusing on her toes and didn't look up, But Robin knew she was miserable about selling the house and moving. They both were. They would be kicked out, dispossessed, through no fault of their own. Already, Robin found herself pausing in the rooms, as if saying goodbye to the view from a particular window, the light of a particular lamp. And goddamn Jack for bringing it up to their daughter, rubbing her nose in it. There had only been a general understanding in the first shocked days of their separation that the house ought to be sold. She'd gone along with it, as she'd gone along with most things. Nothing had been decided or adjudicated yet. She said, "If he calls back, you can tell him the house will go on the market when you're done with high school." Liv did look up at her then, and her mother was bewildered all over again by the force of her daughter's beauty, that slow-burning fuse lit back in her infancy. "Really," Liv said, "can you do that? He can keep paying the mortgage. Can he afford to? Maybe he can sell his fishing gear." The next week, Paula asked her to go along for an audition she was doing for the community theater group in town. It's the Threepenny Opera, you know, Mac the Knife. I'm trying out for Mrs. Peachum, the harpy wife. The theater was located in the old train depot, long disused. Robin had gone to different productions there over the years. Most of them were well-worn revivals, The Glass Menagerie or Harvey, along with a smattering of newer plays, and you usually left a performance telling each other that it had been pretty good, hadn't it, for a local effort. Paula had been in a couple of other plays. She had a special knack for comedy. She said she didn't mind playing amusing old shrews. In the small, crowded lobby, a great many people milled about, chatting, since almost everyone involved with the theater knew each other, had been in plays or musicals together, probably knew beforehand who was likely to get what part. And the Threepenny Opera was something everybody knew, too, had always known, at least the music. People in the lobby were going over sheet music, stretching, loosening their shoulders. They were auditioning to be whores and pimps and toughs. A lot of them were young, college students probably, though there were some older Peachum and Mrs. Peachum types. Paula put her hair up in a bun and brought along a wool shawl as a prop. Several of the whores and pimps were likewise in character, strutting around in lingerie or fedoras. Beyond a curtain, piano music and singing. Robin waited, watching the crowd, until Paula took her turn behind the curtain. It didn't last long, and she came out looking non-committal, saying it had gone all right. Almost immediately, a man came out from the audition space and announced that they'd have to finish up on Saturday, and then they'd have some callbacks, and everybody make sure they were signed in on the right sheet, please. One passed a clipboard to Robin. It was an audition sheet for Jenny Diver, the cast-off whore. Without stopping to think about it, she signed her name. "You did, really?" Paula asked her later in the car, and Robin shrugged and said it was a spur-of-the-moment thing, a whim. "Can you even sing?" "Can you?" "Mrs. Peachum isn't really a singing role. Everybody wants to be Jenny. She has the best song. Some of these kids study opera. I've heard them." "I'm getting back up on the horse." "Huh," said the singing cowgirl. "I guess you don't have to go through with it." Why wouldn't I want to go through with it? She was annoyed at her friend's lack of enthusiasm. Jenny's supposed to be older. That helps. "Listen, casting's just like the rest of the world. They want everybody to be 20. She'd sung in the chorus back in college, but that was a long time ago. Even farther back in high school, she'd been Fiona in Brigadoon. A slender resume, and she only had 2 days to get ready. She found the score on the internet and sang along under her breath. She looked up clips of other performances, all the way back to Lotte Lenya singing in German. Cyndi Lauper had played Jenny in the Broadway revival 10 years ago. Well, they weren't going to get Cyndi Lauper. Everybody had sung Pirate Jenny, it seemed. A gravel-voiced Bea Arthur, Marianne Faithfull after her heyday, and an impossibly pure-sounding Judy Collins. She sang in the shower, and when Liv wasn't home, out of the shower. She practiced dialogue at a slouching trollop's walk. On the morning of the audition, Robin put on a black bra and a sheer white shirt over it. She rouged her face and penciled black around her eyes. She sprayed her hair with a drugstore product that left streaks of glitter and vermilion and teased it up. When she was finished, she contemplated the mirror. Well, that's different, she said aloud. She looked damaged, dangerous. She liked it. If only it was really this easy, turning into someone else. At the theater, this day's crowd was smaller. She spotted some other Jennies, tarted up in lace stockings and bustiers and other harlot finery. I like your hair, Robin told a girl with piled high blonde ringlets. It's a wig, the girl informed her. It's super expensive. Which music did you work up? She didn't know what that meant, work up. All of it, I guess, Robin shrugged. The girl in the wig looked her over. Uh-huh, good luck. They already cast Mac. It's Alex. Big surprise. It's Alex. Again, the looking over. She was so obviously new and clueless. A guy who gets a lot of parts, the wig girl said. He must be good. Oh, he is. Gorgeous. Gay, of course. The girl made warble sounds in her throat. Excuse me, got to warm up. Good idea. She should do that also, except she was too self-conscious. She kept hearing Fiona's songs in her head, the part that had been drilled into her 20 years ago. Fiona, who was pretty much the un-Jenny. There's a laddie weary and wandering free, who's waiting for his dearie me. Good luck with that, girlfriend. A quick look in her mirrored compact steadied her. No Fiona here. She was a woman scorned. It was practically method acting. For most of an hour, the piano started up and stopped and started again. She lost track of how many Jennies she heard. Some of them were sweet, some of them were raucous, some of them accomplished, some of them not especially. At least she wouldn't be the worst. When they called her name, she pushed the curtain aside and blinked. The windowless room was dark except for a few bright overhead spotlights. She knew the look of the place, theater in the more or less round. Audience seated right up against the small performance space or on risers just beyond. A piano was at one end, and a man she thought was the director was conferring with the piano player. A couple of other people walked importantly back and forth. On the theory that everything she did was part of an audition, she pulled up a folding chair, sat, rested her chin on her hand, and tapped one foot. Jenny was used to being kept waiting. That doesn't mean she likes it. She wished she'd worn some trampy shoes instead of her plain black heels. She wished she owned any actual trampy shoes. After a time, the director turned to notice her. One more Jenny, he said, attempting to sound pleasant and sprightly. Robin murmured something that might have been an apology, a reflex from years of marriage. She stifled it. All right, Robin, isn't it? Step right up here. She stood. A man's voice from one end of the room said, She's a little old, don't you think? Isn't he a card? The director said, sounding weary. Don't mind Alex, he's having his period. The director looked to be younger than Robin was, the piano player older. Robin turned toward the voice, but the spotlight kept her from seeing. That's what my husband said before he moved in with his 22-year-old girlfriend. The director said, Well, that gives you kind of a unique, what do you call it, perspective. The voice broke in again. Pirate Jenny, take 53. Can't wait. Robin took a step towards it. You want to hear something else? Anything else. She turned to the director, who shrugged, then to the piano player. Do you know the Brigadoon score? He did. She stood at the side of the piano. Now she was a pure young Scottish lassie by way of Broadway and Hollywood, vowing to hold out for the right guy. She knew the damned song. She knew the business that went along with it, the hands clasped in front of her, the cow eyes looking towards heaven. True love, the biggest scam in the book. The song ended. The piano played a final chord. She knew it had been good. The director said, Thank you very much. Alex, get your scrumptious ass down here. She liked the director. He was tall and thin and fretful, which was sort of like you wanted a director to look. Alex climbed down from the top row of seats. Here I am, your laddie weary and wandering free. Yeah. Ballad of the Pimp, please. They handed her the sheet music. It was a duet, and the pimp sang first, so she had a chance to look over the lyrics as well as Alex. The kind of handsome gay man you admired without any actionable longings, the way you might admire a piece of art. Compact, symmetrical, with side-swept dark curls and a chin like Superman's. She didn't think he was so young himself. He'd never see 30 again. He had a big, confident, polished voice. She thought they'd blend well. She stalked downstage towards him, waiting for the piano to cue her. The song was a tango, a dance between desire and repulsion, hate and love. He'd done her wrong. He didn't care. She would betray him. But first, a kiss. Or not really kissing. They mimed an embrace, arms stiff and floating over each other. She turned her back on him. If only she could free herself. But for that to happen, he would have to die. They finished the duet from opposite sides of the stage, each of them staring the other down. The piano rattled a final chord. Right, said Alex. I'm encouraged. I can really see the two of them hate fucking. Clean up your act, the director said. Please. Sorry, murmured Alex. The effort of singing seemed to have taken some of the starch out of him. Robin was tired too. What if she actually got the part? She hadn't thought that far ahead. Did she have enough stamina to get through rehearsals, through 6 performances? The director said thank you and that there would be an email. Everyone would get an email. Robin walked through the lobby, nearly empty now, and out to her car. She scrubbed at her face with a tissue. She wished she'd brought a sweatshirt. Hey! Alex was shouting to her from the other end of the lot. Did your husband really do that crap to you? That's raw. He waved, got into his own car, and drove off. She got the part. She was surprised. She was not entirely surprised. Dread descended on her. She called Paula, who said, Congratulations. Thanks, I didn't see your name on the cast list. That's because they cast somebody else. Oh. She fumbled for something to say. It felt like a betrayal on her part. Sorry. Don't be sorry. Go for it. That Alex is a piece of work. Jay's good, though. He's the director. Yeah, I liked him. There was a silence. She waited for Paula to offer more encouragement or more gossip, but nothing came. Robin said, Look, I wish we could do this together. It would be a lot more fun. Forget it. Exercise your hidden talents. You could help me rehearse, Robin said, but by then Paula had hung up. She made arrangements for Liv to spend rehearsal evenings at the house of a friend. Predictably, her daughter was unhappy about the whole business. Why do you have to be in some stupid play? I don't have to. I want to. And you're singing? Expression of horror, distaste, and loathing. Who is it you're playing, anyway? A woman scorned. A strumpet. A what? A lady of the evening. You mean a hooker? More horror, distaste, etc. God, Mom, what were you thinking? So she was Mom again. That wasn't a bad thing. But had everybody liked her better when she was merely pathetic, merely another clueless marital dupe? Not to mention that acting, or especially in this enthusiastic amateur way, was not something done by the matrons of her acquaintance. The first rehearsal was so chaotic it was hard to see how the play was going to come together in 6 weeks' time. Even with some people doubling up on roles, there were about 20 cast members, as well as stagehands, a lighting crew, costumers, a vocal coach, and other unidentified backstagers. Jay, the director, divided them into groups. Whores, thugs, and beggars over here. Peachums, I need you front and center. Okay, we don't have the musicians until next week, so thank you, Alex. Nice of you to drop by. Robin saw the girl with the wig, except that now she wasn't wearing it. Her real hair was long and black and parted in the middle. I'm Suki Tawdry, she explained to Robin. I don't get to sing except in the chorus, but I can still vamp it up. Her name was Emily. She was 22, and she was hanging around town after graduating with an art history degree. Art history, go ahead and make fun. She was working in customer service at the auto park. Just for now, of course. She didn't know yet what she wanted to do, except it would be something creative. She wasn't exactly stage struck, but she thought she had a little bit of talent. She might go to New York. I mean, why not? Robin tried not to hold it against Emily that she was fresh and pretty and the exact age of her husband's girlfriend, and that this kind of babble might be something he found endearing. Anyway, why be the sour and disapproving killjoy, a real life Jenny singing a bitter song? She told Emily that while she was young and not tied down, she should go ahead and give New York a try. She met some of her other castmates, young people mostly, excited but trying to look blasé, full of private jokes and poses. There was an older man she remembered from other plays, a spry grandfather type. His name was Ray, and he was the singing beggar who started the show off. When Robin said it all looked pretty disorganized, Ray said not to worry, everybody would settle down and it would all come together. I hope so. I haven't done this before and I don't want to embarrass myself. Well, you must be a natural. You didn't even have to have a callback. She was aware that he was looking at her with some curiosity. I don't know what to tell you. I came at the very end. Maybe they couldn't get who they really wanted. Alex must have liked you. No, I don't think he did. Sure, I bet that's it. We didn't act like it. Ray nodded. Yeah, he's a little diva, but Jay's just smitten with him, so what he says goes. Robin was silent, trying to make sense of this. She didn't like thinking she got the part because of somebody else's complicated love life. She was exhausted with other people's complicated love lives. Ray also told her that the two women who sang the jealousy duet were Polly Peachum and Lucy Brown, both sang opera parts at the university productions and were, in fact, jealous of each other. What about Mrs. Peachum? Robin asked. The woman who'd gotten the part instead of Paula didn't strike her as more distinguished or notably more talented than her friend. Oh, her. She was supposed to be in State Fair last summer, but a cat bit her and her whole face swelled up. I guess they felt they owed her one. She would have liked to hear more, but the vocal coach claimed Ray and took him off to rehearse. She took a peek backstage at the bare bones dressing rooms, the costume racks and the prop shop, the jumble of swords, feathers, hats, trumpets, teapots, a velvet upholstered fainting couch, dirndls, door frames, lamps, much more, like a Noah's Ark of theater furnishings. It was all a new and different world for her, with its own history and webs of gossip, alliances, and betrayals. And now she was a part of it, at least for the present. Jenny Diver, low dive Jenny, pirate Jenny. She was even envied, it seemed. How strange was that? The production was scaling back some numbers, but Robin was left with the pimp duet, some ensemble parts, and the pirate Jenny solo. The vocal coach said, "Song. You don't know the term spoken singing. You're going to learn it." She pushed Robin through the entire playbook, stopping her for corrections. It was nervous making since people were listening and listening critically, she imagined, to see if she measured up. Hard work and hard to keep her cool, especially when the coach was so distressed at any deviation from phrasing or attack, matters that might well be left to a performer's discretion. But she reminded herself she was the new girl. She could expect a bit of bullying. She thought she saw Alex off to the side, listening. Well, so what? They could change their minds and give her the boot if they wanted, or if Alex wanted, if he was the one in charge. She forced herself to concentrate on the vocal coach's insistence on an unnatural breathing method. The vocal coach told her she had any number of bad habits that would need to be corrected. The vocal coach seemed pleased at this prospect. It was after 10 when she stood at the door of the family of Liv's friend, formulating an apology. She rang the doorbell and heard it chime deep in the house. What was it with houses like this, her own included, that everybody thought you needed a doorbell fanfare? The door opened. "Diane, I am so sorry. This thing just kept going and going." "Not a problem," Diane said politely, not meaning it. "She'll be right down. Tell me again, this is some kind of a play rehearsal I'm going to be..." Sounds so interesting. Something different. I needed to get my mind off of. Here she is, Diane said, both of them relieved not to have to fumble through any more explanations. Liv came down the stairs, pulling her coat on, and bounded past her mother out to the car, and was left to thank Diane and apologize again. And Diane said any time it was a pleasure to have her. Robin got back in the car and gave a little wave as the front door closed. Clearly, the woman thought she was unbalanced to be launching herself into some frivolous project at such a time, not to mention neglecting her traumatized child. She glanced at Liv's brick wall face. Did you have fun with Gigi? You're seriously going to dump me there 4 nights a week? Would you rather go to Anne Marie's? Then, when there's a soccer game, I don't want to go anywhere. I don't understand why you're doing this. Everybody's going to see this stupid play, and I'm never going to live it down. Stop it. The play doesn't have anything to do with you. You think? Everybody at school is going to say, your mom's a hooker. I am portraying a hooker in a well-known work of... And since when did you get stage struck? Like you're going to be some big star? God, that is so delusional. Community theater. Like my life isn't already a total joke, like it's bad enough that Jack is... Stop calling him Jack. Shacking up with some actual whore. You don't know that. Now you want to make this public spectacle of yourself, and you aren't thinking about me for 1 minute and how this is going to wreck everything. Who would have believed? What? Who would have believed that anything I do would matter so much? They rode the rest of the way home in silence. It was October. The play would open the week before Thanksgiving. A rhythm developed to Robin's days, which she spent either doing things for the lawyer or trying to determine her employment options. These were not immediately promising. At night, or most nights, she went to rehearsal where she could forget about the tsunami of crap in her life, at least for a little while. Rehearsals also had a rhythm. You waited until one of your scenes was called, but you watched the rest of the play from the audience seats. Each scene was blocked out, each song had a run-through. Robin thought that most of the cast was pretty good, though a couple members of the harlot chorus squeaked like a rusty gate, and Brown, the police constable, was not nearly as amusing as he thought he was. Robin sat on the top row of seats with Ray, and the two of them made fun of people who forgot their lines, although they both admitted they were terrified of doing the same. Jay was seldom satisfied with anything the cast did, at least not the first 1 or 2 times, or 5 or 10 times. He doesn't want to look bad, Ray told her, which means he doesn't want any of us to look bad. Be grateful for that. Ray and his wife had owned several dry cleaning shops. He'd always fiddled around with theater. Once he retired, he had time to pursue it. He called himself a ham. His wife was always shooing him out of the house to audition because she got tired of his terrible jokes and comedy routines. Having outside interests was one key to a happy marriage. Robin, thinking of fly fishing, asked Ray what his wife's outside interests were. He said she enjoyed listening to police scanners. Alex sailed through his rehearsals with lazy competence and spent his free time looking at his phone. Robin only spoke to him in passing or when they were on stage together and had to coordinate some piece of business. He was as exacting as Jay when it came to getting a part right, and Robin found herself wondering why they couldn't work things out and be a couple. She was making a conscious effort to better understand other human beings, or at least to recognize the limits of her understanding. So she observed how Alex held himself aloof and uninterested, ignoring the trail of hopeful breadcrumbs, his directives, and comments which might be exasperated or grudging, but which were all a form of attention. And Alex turned his handsome profile away, not a peacock exactly, something less predictable and domestic. An escaped and fabulous migratory bird, perhaps. Then one non-rehearsal day she stopped by an Italian restaurant to pick up dinner, ravioli and salads and tiramisu, something that her daughter might deign to eat, and was surprised to see Alex behind the little bar pouring out drink orders. "Oh, hello," she said, unsure if she should be embarrassed or if he would be embarrassed at this unscripted encounter. After all, they had to kiss and grope each other in rehearsals. Didn't know you worked here. That's my tragic real life. He rolled his eyes, a bit of stage business, and fluttered his long lashes. Tragic, come on. She supposed she was a little surprised, but then she hadn't any clear notion of what someone like Alex might do for a living. Her order wasn't ready yet, so she sat down at the bar and asked for a red wine. The bar wasn't busy. Alex leaned back against the counter, looking attractively bored. He scrutinized her. So what do you do in your real life? Oh, good question. I have a teenage daughter, and I used to be married. Well, I'm pre-divorced. You know, she shrugged. I guess I was a housewife, homemaker. Talk about tragic. When Alex didn't say anything, she said, "The play's coming along really well, don't you think?" I suppose. The opening's sloppy. The opening number was staged so that Ray entered alone, singing Mac the Knife, and the different cast members entered from either side. The stage didn't have anything as formal as wings, and struck poses or mimed interactions. Ray's good, she said loyally, though she knew what Alex meant. Some of the actors were more convincing than others. Even with her blonde wig and slut makeup, Emily looked like Miss America promenading. Robin drank her red wine. She wished her food order would come. There didn't seem to be too much of a future in small talk with Alex. Well, screw small talk. Did you tell Jay to cast me as Jenny? Is that what happened? He shrugged. More or less. What does that mean? The girl Jay wanted had really bad breath. Oh, thanks. Don't mention it.
I feel so special.
And you can half sing. Forget I asked, okay? You had an attitude about your dirtbag husband. That's very Jenny. Anyway, Jay likes you. He doesn't really listen to me. Sure he does. Anyway, thank you. I'm glad to be in the show. You're great. You're the star. He looked away, but she could tell it pleased him. Yeah, well, I've got another year or two before I'm all washed up. Washed up? What does that mean? I'll be too old for any lead parts, or much of anything else. Oh, that's ridiculous. Should she say something about his good looks? Was it tactful? Was it wanted? Old? What's old? We're very unforgiving when it comes to things like that, he said, and by we, Robin understood he meant gays, but before she could think to ask or argue about it, her dinner order arrived. She paid the bill and told Alex she'd see him the next rehearsal. She took the food home to Liv, who conveyed her continuing displeasure by ignoring it and having a frozen pizza for dinner. Paula called. I'm sorry I was snotty about the play. I'm over it. How's it going? Good, I think. She told Paula about the woman who got the Mrs. Peachum part. No kidding, a cat bite? Who do we know that has cats? I'm still not sure I can go through with this. It's going to be so public. Just imagine the audience in their underwear. No, I'm going to be the one in my underwear. The costumer had tried different looks on her, see-through gowns, fingerless gloves, garter belts, slick satins and fishnet stockings, a baby doll nightie, all of it alarming. I'd been hoping for something drapey, a kimono maybe. You have such a cute figure, the costumer said. Your bust to hip ratio is perfect. Don't worry about anything that droops or bulges. That's my job to fix. The audience is going to see you in costume, not taking a shower. I don't suppose you own such a thing as a corset? And so Robin made her own trip to Victoria's Secret. Oh, the horrid irony of it all. She'd forgotten how pink these places were, a carnivorous, predatory pink. When was the last time she'd shopped here for anything other than socks or flannel pajamas? Was that one more of her marital sins of omission? But no, she wasn't going to fall for that particular consumerist flavor of guilt. Married sex was what it was, pretty good okay most of the time, and only in light of recent developments might you look back and second guess it. She hitched herself into a black satin bustier with lace-up fronts, leaving enough room for her ribs to expand. After all, she had to sing in the damn thing. Then she turned to confront this latest mirror. There was a lot of skin showing, but the skin, objectively speaking, wasn't bad. She thought she could do this, at least if she negotiated with the costumer for some kind of skirt that wouldn't leave her ass hanging out. With the stage makeup and a little bit of swagger, she would be Jenny. And say she wanted to be somebody else after that. Could she do that too? Buoyed, a little giddy, she selected 3 pairs of frivolous panties as ornate as frosted cupcakes, also a naked-looking black plunge bra, and took her purchases to the register. She waited impatiently in line. The pink was getting to her. The salesgirl was toting up the tags when someone behind Robin called her name. She turned to see one of her neighbors. "Oh, hi, Joanne. Good to see you." Except it wasn't. Of all the women you saw at soccer games or yard sales, at scout camp meetings, Joanne was the dullest and most formidable. Hard-edged, hyper-groomed, vigilant about others' unmowed grass or tipped-over garbage bin. A dog running loose or a kid bouncing a basketball too late at night. Joanne was all over it. Your ruptured marriage, she probably knew about it before you did yourself. You did not wish to show weakness in front of Joanne. You tried not to engage. At this moment, Joanne was holding a fistful of virtuous cotton panties and pretending not to notice Robin's more louche items being folded into tissue paper. "Just stocking up," Robin murmured, pointlessly embarrassed. "Yes, me too. These are on sale," Joanne said, brandishing the panties, as if she was a paragon of thrift, as if she might not even wear underwear unless it could be bought on the cheap. "Just," Robin repeated, unable to find any different conversational gear. Clearly, Joanne would think she was refurbishing her top drawer for a new lover. It was not exactly a civil infraction, but the word would go out. It wasn't anybody's business. It would be everybody's business. "See, I'm in this production," she began, unsure how much to say. "Oh?" Joanne said, polite interrogatory. Avid dilation of pupils. "Yes, something I found on Craigslist. These days, well, I guess anything goes," Robin said cheerfully. She handed over her credit card. "I mean, it's a very amateur effort, but I'm giving it my best shot. You know, when life hands you a lemon, how's Bill these days?" 2 days later, her phone rang. Jack said, "What the hell were you thinking?" "Oh, hi, hon. Nice to hear your voice." "You're in some porn video? That's what you're telling people?" "I don't believe I actually said that." "And you thought I wouldn't find out? What's the matter with you? We're still married, you know." "I thought it would be empowering. Don't worry, I'll use a stage name like Cracklin' Rose or Jinx Montana." "You're kidding, right? Except those are probably taken. Maybe Vixen something, Raven something. Do you have any idea what even rumors like that would do to your custody petition? Liv could move in with you and what's her name? She could be like the older sister Liv never had." Silence. "You are kidding, and it's not funny. I'm going to be in a play at the Crossroads, not a porn shoot. It's a common misunderstanding." Jack exhaled. "You really had me going there. Hope you enjoyed it." "I think I figured something out. You weren't tired of me. Well, you were, but that's not the important thing. You were tired of yourself. Listen, about the house. So I hope you like being this new, hot, revitalized, fun self. I hope you've thought it through. I hope it wears well." "I have no idea what you're talking about. The house needs to go on the market as soon." "Lawyer," Robin said, and hung up. Only a week of rehearsals remained. Everyone was keyed up, anxious, exhausted. Could they really pull it off? Would Polly Peachum and Lucy Brown stop spitting at each other? Would the audience laugh when they were meant to? Would Alex succeed in making Jay cry? 5 of the 6 performances were sold out. They were going to have to come through. Of course, Robin had her own worries. Stage fright stalked her. The solo would be her big challenge. Pirate Jenny with its odd, jagged, anti-melodic opening, which had to be dramatized as well as sung, the changes in pitch and timing, and then the soaring phrase that thrilled her every time she came up to it. And the ship, the black freighter. It rang with menace and power. It led to the dark revenge and awful gloating. It was a showstopper. If only she could retain vocal control. If only she could keep from screwing up. Liv said, "It's all going to be over a week from Sunday, right? You're not going to try out for some other famous slut part, are you?" It was a more or less hostile question, but it was the closest her daughter had come to engaging with her for a long time. They were in the kitchen and Liv was assembling one of her protest dinners. That is, having refused her mother's offers of pork chops and fried apples or pasta primavera or baked chicken, she was preparing a box of macaroni and cheese. Robin said, "I doubt it because I hope I'll be working." "Good, because I don't want to end up like a ward of the state." "You should come to the play." "I don't think so." "Why not?" Robin asked, attempting patience. "Because what if you suck?" At the dress rehearsal, Robin told Jay that she'd like to host the cast party. This took place after the last performance. It was potluck style and everybody could drink up Jack's liquor. Jay said that was nice of her, they'd announce it. He was distracted by two of the stage hands who had pulled garter belts on over their jeans and were mincing about in high style. "You guys," Jay said, "have a lot to learn about drag." Alex came up to them then. He said, "The Kissy Face stuff is all wrong. She's doing too much puckering. She looks like a goldfish." "I do not." "Try not to let your face freeze up," Alex said. "I know it feels weird, but it's easier if you go a little slack-jawed." "Just close your eyes and think of England," Jay advised. "Oh, thank you so much. Like she really needs a bunch of snark from you." "It's called directing, sweetheart." "Only when someone actually knows how to direct." "Oh, such a good one. Don't push your luck. I can have you replaced by an actual pimp." "I'm sure you know some." "I'm sure they know you, sugar britches." "Will you stop it?" Robin said. "You're both being jerks and it's because you're too stuck up to go on a date or—" Her anger was running ahead of her words. "Or do whatever it is you end up doing. I don't care. I just want to get through this stupid play without a lot of whatever." It wasn't the best exit line, but they were both goggling at her, momentarily silenced, and she took the opportunity. She thought the word she needed was flounce past them and out of the theater door, grabbing her coat on the way. She was still in her ridiculous costume. Already she was half regretting her grand gesture. What came after flounce? She walked a half block street to a bench and sat. It was dark, cruddy November, the air full of cold glooms. She needed a cigarette. She needed to take up smoking. Alex was outside, calling her name. "There you are," he said, out of breath. "Hey, I'm supposed to be the drama queen here. You and Jay should get married." "What?" "He's crazy about you and he puts up with your bullshit, and he's not going to care if you gain 5 pounds or your hairline recedes." He considered this. "Really? You think it would work out?" "I don't know if anything ever works out. I should think about settling down now that my looks are starting to go." "Stop. You should have seen me when I was 19. I was hell on wheels." "You're the best looking man I have ever kissed." "Oh my God, that is so sweet." Even in the shifty darkness, she saw him beaming. She would tell Jay to try smothering Alex with compliments. "Now, will you come back inside before you catch cold and wreck your voice?" Paula drove her to opening night. Robin didn't trust herself not to panic at this last minute and spend the evening circling the shopping mall parking lot. "Why am I doing this?" "Because you are a woman. Hear you roar." "I think I was bored. I think I've been bored for years." Paula pulled up to the theater entrance to let Robin out. "Break a leg. Why do you think they say that? They'd feel bad if somebody really did." 6 weeks ago, she'd known none of them. Now people greeted her and told her she looked absolutely killer. They buzzed and laughed and clutched at their chests to indicate nervous palpitations. Here was Ray made up as a snaggletooth beggar, all soot and gaudy rags. Here was Alex in a red satin shirt, a pimp to die for. The harlot chorus giggled and preened. The musicians took their places, and the house lights went down. Here was the song that was now hers, the notes nearly visible to her, like something you could reach up and pick. And she'd thought she'd needed words. There was one last hush, the room holding its breath before it all began.